no pandemic. The 80s and the early 90s was a pandemic. The crack era was a pandemic. It was one where the news really did line up with the experience. So basically, when you walked down the street, you saw crackheads. You saw people that were doctors a couple of months ago on freebase pipes. You saw people that owned brownstones, landlords, respected people in the community on crack, strung out on crack. You saw the mayor of Washington, D.C. recorded smoking a crack pipe. This was a pandemic. This was the real deal because, see, in a pandemic, your experience matches the reports. You could actually verify it visually. Like, you don't have to guess. You don't need nobody chasing you around, tapping you on your shoulder saying, hey, you know this is the crack era, right? You know this is the crack era. So you better go down to the clinic and get that thing that's going to protect you from actually taking this crack. See, that was a real pandemic, because pandemics and apocalypse, when there's a reason for it, you see it, you experience it. It's no illusion here. I saw those crackheads. I saw them lined up. I lived in an area where when I would come outside, there were lines like the grocery store lines wrapped around the corner for crack. We lived through a real pandemic. It was serious. Nobody needed to tell us nothing. Nobody needed to get on the news and put the death count or the death toll on the side of the TV. We know, we saw it. We saw them dying. We saw them smoking. We saw them walking around like zombies. We saw them scratching. We saw them itching. We saw them laying on the ground. We saw people we knew turn into complete zombies. It was crazy. It was unbelievable. No one was safe. It didn't matter if you were a doctor, a lawyer, a mom, a super respected person, a business owner. If you put your mouth on that pipe, you was going down. I seen some of my closest friends, 17, 18 years old, get on that drug, and I didn't see them normal again for 20 years, and the rest of them died. It took forever for them to recover from that drug. That was a pandemic. You see, because in pandemics, you can see it. Nobody has to convince you. Nobody has to coerce you. Nobody has to lure you. We knew we had to lock our doors. We knew we had to be careful. We knew we had to watch our back in the crack era. We knew that this stuff was really messed up. Nobody had to tell us nothing. So when the news came on, we was like, yeah, that's verified. That's verified. Yeah, people are dropping dead all around us. This is the real deal. And guess what? Nobody came to help. Nobody came to help. The community burnt out. That's what happened. It burnt out, devoured whole generations, a whole section of the generation, mothers and fathers and uncles and brothers gone. Cracked out, kids out there raising themselves, dying, caught up, doing the strangest and craziest things for a couple of dollars. It was unbelievable. When I think about that, I'm like, I can't believe I lived through that. Anybody who lived through the crack era knows what a pandemic is. See, the difference from now is, where is all this stuff y'all talking about? Why do we have to search and deep and look so hard to find these people? All these hospitals that you claiming are overflowing. I went to the hospital during the pandemic and it didn't match the news. When I got into St. Luke's, no one was there. And this was during the time when they were claiming stay home. The hospitals are overflowing. Right here in New York City, St. Luke's, it was one other person in the emergency room. I was scared to go to the ER. I had got something in my ear and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go. I know it's going to be filled up with people with COVID. I get there. There's no one in the emergency room. This is the problem. You know, it's like people just want to live in an illusion. Go ahead, be in your illusion. Be in your illusion. But if what they're saying is not matching your experience, you need to be questioning it. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I don't want to hear it. If what they're saying is not matching your experience, then you need to be researching more. Okay? Because the way these draconian measures are being set up and separating people, vaccinated, unvaccinated, all this craziness, you would think you would be running into people dying in the street. And like I said before, the same homeless people that was out there in March of 2020, bugging out, not listening to nobody, not wearing no mask, not following none of the protocols, still there. They still there right now, getting on everybody's nerves. So they should have been affected by that. Oh, it's a pandemic, all right, in the urban cities. It's a pandemic of drug addicts. It's a pandemic of homeless people. It's a pandemic of dirty, filthy streets. Because of COVID, all the agencies, the system is broken. All the agencies are broken up and down and not working. Not even spraying water on the sidewalk. Smell like urine everywhere. You got to be suffocated with this stuff. A pandemic is something that you can experience. You can see it. This is not to say that there's not a virus. There's always been a virus around. There's always been something that you can catch around. That's the nature of being a human being. But now we're doing things that decrease our ability to survive and sustain in a germ-filled world. Covering our faces, staying apart from one another, quarantining, all the different things that break down not only the spirit and the soul, but the physical strength that it takes. I remember a long time ago, I learned in school that part of having a strong immune system as a social being is being surrounded by other people. It's playing in the dirt. It's getting dirty. All right? If you're washing everything off every day, you're not giving your body a chance to do what it does. I'm just saying. A pandemic is something that you will experience. People don't need to tell you that it's a pandemic. I lived through an apocalypse. 1985 to 1991, I lived through an apocalypse. Me and every other person of color and probably other people, especially that lived in cities. We saw the apocalypse, and it was real. I mean, the streets was crazy. These people were really zombies. Okay? So you're not going to just be able to tell me anything and tell me we're in a pandemic when my experience is not matching your reports.